On February 21st, over on Twitter, one of Minecraft's developers, Jappa, posted this video of the mangrove swamp biome. It's pretty cool. How you doing, everybody? It's me, your boy. Today, let's talk about it. Mangrove swamp updates and ideas. The initial video that we were just looking at, the one that we're going to go back to in a second, came from a thread. This is one of those developers looking for feedback and ideas threads. The thread begins with some insights on the new upcoming mangrove biome, still a work in progress, but we want to know what you think. Unfortunately, it will need to stay in the oven for a little while longer, so it will not be in any upcoming snapshots or betas. So a big confirmation right there that the mangrove swamp is still a big work in progress. The good, the juicy part, the video. Absolutely love when the developers do this kind of stuff, like show off content they're working on, ask for feedback, listen to the community. It's great stuff. Now, the video, with it being from February 21st, a minute ago, you might have seen it by now, but here it is. It's low quality, it's silent, but it's the mangrove swamp. This aerial view that is about to play right here, like this thing, one of my favorite shots in this video. Look at how good the trees look. Like, just look at them all. We have this massive one right here. We have other ones all over the place, like different shapes. I'm thinking that these are going to be some of the most complex trees in the entire game. Like, look at the diversity of these trees in terms of the shape. This is so good. From the sky, this biome looks perfect. And no offense to the mangrove swamp biome on the ground, it's not as beautiful and luscious looking. I mean, it's nice, don't get me wrong. There's like 5 new blocks here, but it needs more. We're going to talk about that later on, though. Back to the video. Coming up here in the background is something a little suspicious, but I don't know. I don't think it's suspicious at all, actually. So over here, this green block in the background looks like grass block to me. Just plain old grass, pretty plain coloration too. But what do you think? This is something different? Is it not? Only the developers truly know. Pretty sure I know too that it's just grass, but saw some theories about it. Let's go ahead and roll this video back to the beginning though and see if there's anything else that we can get from this. So looking at this, the vine texture, pretty sure these are the same old vines, just maybe a different coloration. The leaf, the mangrove leaf, that's definitely a new type of leaf. We have this stem block right there, it's like a trunk, definitely a new block as well. Then we have the tree block itself, a new type of wood. We already knew about that. The propagule right there, the mud all over the ground. That's basically it in terms of new things inside of this video that I could break down. Maybe that other grass mystery, but also maybe not because it's literally grass. So that's basically the whole video and what we can take from the video so far. The only problem with this video is Twitter's compression. It's like trash tier. It's not very good. We can't get very many good, clean, crisp looks at things. But, oh boy. Me, you, over here, constantly, 24/7, cleaned up, looking fresh. That's our motto, you know? We're all about those clean, crisp, good looks here. Clean, crisp, good looks. That's exactly what Jappa gave us, too. Thankfully, fortunately, here we have a few stills, and these stills are high resolution. These are really, really easy to take in and look at. Number 1, number 2, number 3 right there. So let's go ahead and go one by one and take a look at this. Again, we have the leaf texture in here. It's a nice texture. It's a busy, like rainy looking texture. But I like it. I think it fits. It's a nice atmosphere inside of this place. Vine coloration, it's like a little dried out looking, almost reminding me of the savanna biome or something like that. A new wood type right there. Love the texture of that log. Like, that's good. That's going to work so good with spruce. I can picture it now. That's a trapdoor. That's another trapdoor. That's a trapdoor. That's a trapdoor. Trapdoors all over that thing all day long. Beautiful. I think it's going to look good. I think it's going to fit in really, really well with spruce wood, which is great. Another new block is this thing right here. So this is the new root block. This root block looks really, really interesting. It's almost like a dried out leaf looking thing. I'm thinking as long as we can actually get this in 1.19, dead tree all the way, or like dead bushes, you could put those all over, or even maybe like tumbleweeds or something until the desert update. That looks really good. Now, how about this on the ground right there? What's going on there? Is it like glow lichen? Is it like something else? Well, we actually have a confirmation that this is just the mechanic of the mud combining with whatever stem root block this is. It's not like a layer like moss or glow lichen or anything like that. It's literally just the block taking in mud. That's a confirmation that we had from the developers. And then, of course, all over the ground, we have the mud block, which, in my opinion, is not muddy enough. Like, I mean, we'll talk about it maybe a little bit more in the video, but yeah, it literally looks like really gray. I feel like it should be more brown in tone. Over here, we have another shot of that root block combining into the mud. There you can really see that it's literally just a block. It's moving on to screenshot number 2, which is another nice view, again, with the watercolor. Maybe it should be like dirtier looking, like the current swamp biome. Do think that looks nice. And I like how the mud fades out into the water, but still, the coloration of the mud, I don't know. Also, this block looks like it can go inside of the water too and be waterlogged, which is great. That's really interesting. Alright, so picture number 3. This is where some of the big stuff happens. So, at first glance, it's just another screenshot of the mangrove swamp. It's a nice looking angle. It's cool. It's a nice picture. But if we go ahead and zoom in, right over here on this tree, do you see that? You see that? It's small. There's like 5 pixels, honestly, but oh my gosh, do you see that? Do you see that? I'm excited. I'm very excited. 1.19 is going to have the deep dark in that snapshot. You know, everything's beautiful inside of it. Oh man, but 1.19 is going to have this too. That's red. That is red. That's like red. That's not even playing around. That is, like I said, it's red. If you can remember earlier this month in a news breakdown video that I did specifically titled something about mangrove wood, we took a look at this picture. Now this is from February 4th, Kojo Max on Twitter, another developer. Look at this right here, this red trapdoor. It looks like we're getting like one of the best things in the world in 1.19, a red wood-toned wood. Oh, that's going to be so nice. Imagine actually like stripping this thing and getting the red wood and then the red wood with like anything in the game. That's a snapshot I'm waiting for. Definitely really excited about that. That's going to be cool. So Jappa asked for feedback and then listened to feedback for a little while, and then some main points that Jappa got are right here. Thanks for all the feedback, and then bullet points, more land and water, dead bushes maybe patches of grass to make the floor diverse. Hard no on this bottom one, I'm so sorry. Maybe no on this one right there. Land and water. Yeah, that's where we'll start. So let's do some research. Let's take a look at the current version of the swamp and talk about what I like about it a little bit. So grass coloration looks amazing inside the swamp. Both colors that we have here, yeah, there's actually 2 if you didn't know. You have that one, you have that one. I like them both. They look good. Trees inside the swamp, I mean, I'm really excited about the new trees, and you know, like, don't get me wrong, the new trees are like a million times better, but like, in terms of the game and the swamp currently, it's not bad. It's like an oak tree with the vines. Yeah, like I said, really not bad at all. The watercolor. I do really like the watercolor inside of the swamp. That's great. And then the lily pads in the land and how that's all done. I think that's amazing. Now, this swamp, it maybe isn't like the best example of it, but sometimes when you get a swamp that's, you know, like a little bit more flat and then you have like essentially small islands kind of broken up with water like that, yeah, I think that works really, really well. Even if this mangrove swamp is going to be an entirely new swamp biome, I don't see why they wouldn't take like the best aspects of this swamp and just like move it over to the other swamp and then coat the new blocks on top of it. What I'm saying here is I definitely think that this new mangrove swamp should take this aspect, the land with the water running through it. I think it's great. It's really interesting and it's unique. Let's talk about that mud block for a second. So the mud block inside of that video, it was really, really gray looking. I feel like the mud block in specific, unless it's just off looking in the video, needs a little bit more of a brown tone inside of it. I think that would help it out, make it a little bit more distinct, and potentially make it pretty useful for building. Like you could literally just build with the mud block. It's a brown tone. Brown tones are great. They work with so many different things. Looking for an example, spruce wood. That's all I need to say. In my swamp update, take the mud, make it a little bit more brown. That's good. Now, grass patches inside of the swamp, I don't know. The only situation where I would like the idea of grass patches inside of that new swamp is if there's like hills. Like if the mangrove swamp gets a little bit more hilly and not as flat, that's where the grass patches could come in my opinion. But other than that, if you have, say, a flat swamp like this one right here, but it's a mangrove swamp, I feel like it should all be mud, more brown tone, and maybe a different block. So let's use this gray terracotta as a placeholder for now. This is kind of the tone that I envision the mud being. So let's say we had mud inside of here and this would all be mud. What could we break this up with? Well, my first thinking was maybe something like coarse dirt. That could work, but the problem here is coarse dirt is like coarse and it's really, really dry. So definitely not coarse dirt. That wouldn't work. Maybe rooted dirt, but that's kind of like the whole azalea bush thing. So maybe not rooted dirt either. Looking through here, what else could we do? I've got nothing. I've got nothing inside of here that would actually make sense. I could think of other things that might like look good with a different mud texture like that, but that makes no sense at all. That's not logical. That's like terraforming stuff, which is fine for that, but not for generation. That brings me to my idea. So if we're going to do grass patches inside of the swamp to break it up, I guess that works. Maybe make sure the grass tone matches pretty well with the mud tone. But what about muddy grass? Like you take grass and you take the mud and you put it on top of it. Essentially, it's like the same thing as like rooted dirt. You take the dirt and you put the roots inside of it, you know? You take the grass and you put the mud inside of it. Muddy grass. That could help create a little bit of variation, and it could help justify the grass patches. You have a grass patch, you have muddy grass, and then you have mud. Not actually right there, but like, imagine it. Now, dead bush inside of the swamp. I definitely don't think so. I absolutely think that the dead bush doesn't belong inside of the swamp because the swamps in general, are actually one of the most diverse ecosystems in the world. Like, they're full of life. They're very alive. So a dead bush, I mean, maybe you could have a couple of them, but to use these things to, fill up the ground, I think there's a better way to do it. That better way to do it, maybe, just maybe, a couple new types of plants. New types of plants, there's so many options. I mean, you could always do things like flowers, sugarcane, or maybe even cattails. Cattails would literally be perfect for the swamp biome. So check out these two versions of cattails right here. We have a short cattail, we have a long cattail. Imagine these things, but if you place them on mud, they can literally just grow anywhere. Now inside of this mod that I'm using, the cattails can only be placed right next to water, so kind of like sugarcane. Imagine that functionality actually being expanded to sugarcane as well. If you have a mud block, you don't need water. The mud is wet enough, you could just plant sugarcane on top of it anywhere. You could literally use that mechanic and place sugarcane all over the swamp or like randomly, and there you go. You start to fill it up. A variation, cattail, sugarcane all over the place. It's great. I think a combination of maybe sugarcane and cattails throughout a swamp biome could really do the job. The developers could stop there. That could be good. Or they could, not stop there. So inside of the swamp right now, we have the lily pads all over the place. How about a couple new lily pad variants, like a flowered lily pad? So that thing right there looks really nice. Of course, you would be able to take this and craft it down into white dye. That's cool. What about like a huge water lily? So like essentially a flower, but take it and put it inside of the water. Something like that right there. That would be so unique. That would be so cool. And I love the spore blossom. This would be an opportunity for more particles coming from a flower because, I mean, why not? Like, it's a little bit different. Water flower, new way to decorate the water. Lily pad with the flower on top of it. And then, of course, normal lily pad. You name a better lineup of decorating the water, it's impossible. With these three things in the game, you could make any small pond look like a million billion times better. And it would be so exciting, especially this water flower concept. I love it. Hold up, rewind 1 second, though. Those things in game, how did I get it? You want to check those out, too? CurseForge. This mod pack right here, this is how I'm doing it. This mod pack actually seems pretty massive. If we take a look at lily pad options, for example, we have all of these things inside of the inventory, different types of flowers, like a lily of the valley that is nowadays in the game, and then just other types of lily pads, like maybe smaller clusters of them, maybe even a gigantic, huge one that could be kind of interesting, but honestly, I don't think the developers should go too overkill with the lily pads. I think a focus on like a cattail would be a little bit better. Maybe that whole mud mechanic with sugarcane, that could be interesting. I think that's kind of more so where it's at, plus like a water flower or something inside of the biome. I think that could be great. Another option that I could see the developers taking and working out fairly well could be a new type of flower inside of the swamp, or even just the other swamp flower, the azure bluette. You could take those and put those inside of the biome. That could look kind of nice, break up the ground a little bit more. Or maybe even a new type of crop. Legally, I'm not a swamp expert. I did a little bit of research for this video and actually found out that there are different types of foods that can actually be grown inside of the swamp, which at first sounded completely disgusting. I mean, there's literally like bugs and bad things all over the place, but yeah, food. Specifically, usually food that grows on top of water, like cranberries. Imagine a new type of crop or harvestable food growing inside of the swamp biome, the mangrove swamp, where you like go to the biome to find it, and then of course you could bring it back home and grow it. But this crop, in my vision, grows on the water this time instead of the normal crop that we've always had. Cranberries, for example, kind of take the sweet berry bush idea, but then put it on top of water. How would the model work? How would it look? I would imagine something kind of similar to this water flower right there. It's just like something sitting on top of the water, hydrates from the water, of course, and after a little while, you could harvest it and eat it. The berries could have the same nutritional value as the sweet berries, as the glow berries, but basically, just be found inside of the swamp instead. The mangrove swamp looks really cool so far. Like, what they showed off in that video is really nice. The trees are absolutely amazing, but it definitely needs more. Once the frogs are inside of the biome, the fireflies as well, it's going to be more filled up. But I think the biggest answer to filling that biome up is plant life. Cattails, lily pad variants, flowers on the water, maybe even crops on the water. But food. Going back to the video and taking a look at the ground one final time, I mean, look at it, it's so bare. Imagine this ground filled up with cattails all over the place. Some of them are 3 blocks tall, 2 blocks, 1 block. It would be so amazing. Maybe even a crop too, yeah, I don't know. But how would you fill the mangrove swamp up? What would you do? More plants, a different mob, different blocks on the ground? Call it down in the comments. That's going to do it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. My links are down in the description. The like button is right by the description. Have you hit it yet? Big shout out to my patrons, Reetman, GBFan1984, and HushSound34. Thank you so much for the support. It's me, your boy. I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye, everyone.